And we are live with a real talk with JT, episode number 4. And today, guys, it is a real special day today because I'm bringing you someone who I truly, truly admire, an absolute rock star, a true CEO. He was 4 times Fortune 500 companies, 6 successful exits. That's right, in 19 years. And he is the master of scaling businesses, the one and only Sharran Srivatsaa. My brother,
John,
thank you.
hey man, I appreciate you. Thank you for that. You're my hype man. Like everywhere I go, I should take you, and then the world will be a lot better.
That's it. Yeah, right on.
Uh,
So Sharon, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. What can you tell us in a nutshell? Like, who is Sharon? Besides, being a CEO and running these multiple businesses, like who you are as a guy.
man, I it goes back to um, a lot of things. I think for us goes back to how we were born and where we were raised.
Hmm.
I was born and raised in very mediocre, ordinary circumstances. I was born in India. We didn't have we didn't have a lot of money, and
Hmm.
everything in my life was just very mediocre. I was just very average. I had average friends. We had average clothes. I had average lifestyle. We went on average vacations. But the one thing that I had was just extremely extraordinary. Like my unfair advantage in that moment was this one thing. I have extraordinary parents. Like my parent, I got very lucky. I have extraordinary parents, and my parents gave me something that was insanely powerful, and uh, they gave me the gift of this one phrase. And my dad always used to say this. He says, "We should focus on a bigger and better future." We should always focus on a bigger and better future. Like my dad, I remember him saying this over and over, that we should always focus on a bigger and better future. It was never like, oh, we don't have this today, or I don't have enough money. Do you think money grows on trees? I'm not buying you a gift. It was none of that. It was the focus on, like, we're going to create a bigger and better future. And John, I'll tell you this, a lot of people don't know, but my parents believed that the bigger and better future for me personally, as their only son, as their only child, was not in India. So my parents sold everything that they had, everything that they had. They sold everything that they had. Moved in with my aunt and uncle. So they didn't even have a place to live. My dad sold his scooter to get me a plane ticket. Right. So they sold everything that they had to
Wow.
send me to the U.S. And when you say who is Sharon today, it is me being so grateful that my parents did that for me, not because they're like, oh, they did that for me, but they did something for me based on this one phrase, which was, how do we give our son, a bigger and better future? And man, I'll tell you this, that those words ring true for me. Like, as the president of Real, people think differently what my role is, but they don't realize that I work for you. They forget that, like, when I wake up in the morning, the reason I am here is I work for you. Like, how you become more successful, how your team becomes more successful, how your organization becomes more successful is my job. And 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 that makes me believe in a bigger and better future for you. It makes me believe in a bigger and better future for my children. And so everything that I wake up, I don't, as a person, for me, is what can we do today to create a bigger and better future for ourselves? And I'll take the real estate example for a second, right? A real estate agent listening to be like, what the heck does that mean for me, Sharon? The question there is, if you're selling real estate today, let's ask the question, how what makes a bigger and better future for you? So it can be something as simple as, hey, you have 1,000 people in your database today. Will having 2,000 be a bigger and better future for you? Yes, I think so. Right? If you have a team of 2 people today and having a team of 20 in the future be a bigger and better future for you? Yes, I think so. So the idea for me is, the bigger and better future is so foundational to my thinking and to my family, that if I can't see a bigger and better future, like we talk about scale a lot, the
Hmm.
scale is nothing more than me believing that there's a bigger and better future. That's what
Yeah.
this is, right? And so I would challenge everybody that I'm not different or unique in any way. I just believe I complain less, I whine less, not for any other reason. I just believe in a bigger and better future, and that's what drives me every day.
I love it. And so, I mean, it sounds like you saw the sacrifice your parents did for you, and you kind of making the sacrifice now yourself, right?
Yeah,
And
100%. Yeah, but John, there's also this very interesting thing, right? I don't know if you've heard of this. There was this study done at Harvard, which was this marshmallow study. Have you heard of that one?
yeah, I love that
Okay.
one.
Yeah. So like, let's do a 10-second version of that, right? So essentially, a bunch of kids are put in a room and they put a marshmallow in front of them, and they say, "Hey, if you do not touch this marshmallow. If you touch it, you can eat it, but if you don't touch it for 10 minutes, you get 2 marshmallows, right?" And they saw that the kids that actually were able to wait for that 10 minutes, have the marshmallow in front of them and not touch it and get the 2 marshmallows, actually, when they tracked them over their course of their lives, they did significantly better. And the idea there was you needed some kind of construct to actually delay gratification. And I think the social media and all the things that we do today has forced like instant gratification for us, right? And if we go to Starbucks and it takes more than 2 minutes for us to wait in line, we get frustrated. If we are trying to look at our email and our Wi-Fi is 10% slower, we get frustrated, right? If we're sitting in traffic and the red light and the person in front of us doesn't move, we honk. We get frustrated. And so we are in such the instant gratification generation. But when it comes to building a business, building a life, and creating scale and creating like a bigger and better future, we need to defer gratification a little bit. And John, I don't think we can do that unless we have a great community. Because when we see other people who have done that and they're like, man, John sacrificed a lot to get here. If I just sacrifice half of that, I'll get there too. Because if we don't see delayed gratification in practice, we don't know how to put it in play ourselves, because our bodies and our minds would naturally want to the instant gratification overall, right? So the idea there for me, a lot of it is, can we force ourselves to delay gratification? By the way, I don't make a lot of book recommendations, but here's one. It's very difficult to read.
You better write it down, guys.
Yeah, it's very difficult to read, but it's called The Inner Citadel. The Inner Citadel. It's a philosophical book, and I'll tell you what. I'll give you the entire book in 1 minute. The book says that there's a stimulus and there is a response in most of our lives. Hey, I'm hungry. I need to eat something, right? I'm hungry. I need to eat something. So what most of us do is when we're hungry, we're like, what's the fastest food I can get that tastes good? Let me drive to McDonald's. So the gap between the stimulus and the response, hungry to McDonald's, is so short. The greatest people, the inner citadel, is when you split that gap up. And you can say, I, John, can make choices. If I'm hungry, I can say, wait a minute. What are the goals that I made for myself? What choices should I make? You actually have a choice-based dialogue, and that is your inner citadel that allows you to make decisions, not just based on an impulse, but based on your own choice. The freedom of choice, as we always call it, when that gets taken away from us, we've lost all our freedoms. And what stimulus and response does is, I'm hungry, I need McDonald's, right? Or I don't have any business, I need to just buy leads. Like that thing is that there's no gap between stimulus and response. It doesn't give us the inner citadel. It's a really difficult read, but I gave you that. It's anytime we're struck with something, I just pause, John, and I say, am I making the right choice for me? And when you just stop and ask that question, it's pretty interesting, because now you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't eat that, or I probably shouldn't go there. I probably shouldn't yell. I probably shouldn't send off that scathing email. The longer the gap between the stimulus and the response, the deeper our inner citadel, and that's when it truly, truly works.
So it almost sounds like, Sharran, you got to slow down in order to speed up.
Yeah.
Right. And what do you feel like it is the better and bigger future for real estate?
Man, I'll tell you this. I'm really.
I know that's a heavy loaded questions right there,
No.
right?
It's a good one though, right? It's a good one, and let me tell you what I mean by that. I used to run a real estate brokerage before, and we got a chance to build it. It was acquired by Douglas Elliman. It was a great transaction for everybody. Mm-hmm. And John, here's what I felt. All the conversations in real estate are related to work hard now, work harder tomorrow, work harder tomorrow. Maybe get a team now, work harder tomorrow. It's like work hard, work harder, work harder, work harder. Stay healthy so you can keep working harder, because once this music stops, you're done. And like, that's really hard for me, because I know how hard real estate agents work. I know how hard the real estate community works. In fact, we are in this role of a thankless position. And when we're done with the transaction, nobody says thank you to us. We turn around and say thank you to the lender, thank you to the buyer, thank you to the seller, thank you to title, thank you to counsel, thank you to the lawyers. We do all that. We send out the closing gifts. Nobody gives us a closing gift, right? We did all the work. Yeah, we made some commissions, but we earned every penny of it. But then then you have these technology companies that are saying, hey, John closes 15 transactions a year. Let's sell him more software. Let's sell him more coaching. Let's sell him more tools. Let's sell him more. Like, so everyone just wants a more of what we are building today. And John, here's my struggle with this. My struggle with this is when the music stops, the agent that is working really hard doesn't have anything saved left over. And that's really hard for me. So in a traditional world, what people would do is to say, John and Sharran sell real estate. We get commissions. We take a portion of our commissions. We buy some investment property, and hopefully that you build a portfolio over 30 years, and then you can retire when that investment property portfolio pays you back. Like, we know that, but I want to give everybody a sense of this investment property math, and I guarantee we've all heard it in some way. Like, you buy $100,000 property. Let's say it actually manages, is the 1% rule. That means you're making $1,000 a month. Your payments are roughly $400 a month on your mortgage. You have another operating payments on another $400 a month. Out of the $200 left over, you're probably putting $100 in reserve. You're making $100 a month on your $100,000, right? How many of that $100 a month do you need to have a great life? A lot. That's crazy. A lot, right? And so I am trying to think about, like, one of the reasons that really attracted me to Real, and this is not a pitch for Real, like, what attracted me to Real was it allows the career-minded agent to actually earn their career. Like, when they're done, they have an organization that they have built that actually gives them some passive income overall. Internally, I think you and I talk about this a lot. I tell people at Real, hey, help us build a great company today, and let the great company take care of your family tomorrow, right? And this is my curiosity around this is every single real estate agent should start with their end in mind of, hey, when I'm X age and I'm done working or something happens, what happens then? What happens then?
I think majority of the agents, they have no plans. They have no contingency plans at all.
No. And John, I'll tell you, it's a really scary thing. And, my buddy Trey Serrano's on the call. I shared this with him the other day. Like, one of the agents that used to work for us before, his name is Scott, like, great agent, single agent in California, roughly did about 50 million a year with just him and an assistant. So pretty good business for one person, children and grandchildren. He represented me personally on a couple of transactions. And John, one day, Scott had a heart attack in the living room and passed away the next day. He went out guns blazing, had a heart attack in the living room, and died the next day. I went to the funeral. I couldn't take my sunglasses off because I knew his family. I'm bawling, crying. And his wife comes up to me and says, he loved you so much, which I was really good friends with him. He goes, but we never built a legacy. So now his family is struggling to make ends meet because Scott's not around anymore. And, that breaks my heart. So I'm not saying it needs to be like a revenue share or something like that. What I am saying is we all have to take the career-mindedness as seriously, because it then starts to give us purpose on what we do today. The number one thing that does not give agents purpose is they don't realize that they're not on a planned way of just work harder, work harder, work harder. They don't realize when the music stops, what happens. When we know what our legacy is, we will actually work harder for it. And I don't mind working the next 20 years really hard if I know that there's a pot of gold at the end, or if there's a system at the end to manage me. And I think we never stopped to think about that before, but there are options today. May that be investing, may that be life insurance policies, may that be a side business, may that be investing in multifamily, may that be joining Real and building a revenue share program, whatever it may be. My suggestion would be think about the exit so that you can really be motivated on how you're building towards that.
Now, how would you suggest the viewers watching this either live or maybe later on, change, it's difficult, yet change is necessary.
Yeah.
And in changing markets. right? I mean, we get a lot of agents that've been 20, 30 years in the business, and it's hard for them to change. What would you suggest for them to make that quicker?
Dude, it's such a good question. And I think that the fastest way to change is not to change anything you're doing, but to just upgrade your skills, right? The interesting part is, like, let's take the last 3 years, 2020, 2021, 2022, or just 2021, 20. We were in a really fast moving market, a momentum based market, right?
Yeah.
But now the market turned abruptly middle of last year. And it just kind of slowed down in different parts of the market. It just didn't move as fast. And the reason is it went from a momentum-based market to a skills-based market. The agent that was able to actually guide and advise the clients better won. And it was not just about a solution, it was providing options. So I think a lot of agents, agents today are having to have price adjustment conversations with their clients, and they did not have to have price adjustment conversations with their clients for the last three years. So agents are not that they don't know have that skill, they just forgot the skill. And I'm not saying it's bad, they just forgot the skill. And the crazy part, John, not only did they forget the skill, they're mad that they have to have that conversation right now. They're irritated. They're like, I can't believe I have to have this price adjustment.
That's not my job. I'm not getting paid for that. At least I wasn't for the past 3 years.
But here's the interesting part. Let's do maybe some skill around this, right? The number one reason why, I mean, you're an awesome coach. Like, you and I talk about coaching skills all the time. The number one reason why it is hard for us to go and ask for a price adjustment is because we're asking for the price adjustment cold. What we want to do is we want to pre-frame how pricing is going to go in the appointment, so that when you have the price adjustment conversation, it's a very natural conversation. In fact, they bring it up, right? My friend, his name is Shane Todd. He lives in Vancouver, Washington. Really great agent. He tells me he has something called a 10-10-0 rule. So he actually tells the clients, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, we follow the 10-10-0 method. 10 showings. If we don't get 10 showings or we don't get 10 offers, either of those two, we have to make adjustments. And so literally he's like, hey, we got 3 showings in the last 3 weeks. We haven't gotten 10 showings yet. It's time to get a price adjustment. And he tells them up front. Or you get the 10 showings but no offers. That means you marketed well and positioned it well, but what they're seeing in the marketing and what they actually come into the home with is not resonating. So that's why you're not getting offers. So we call it the 10-10-0. If you get 10 showings and 10 offers, but and nothing after that, then you have to. So now the client's like, okay, we've had 3 showings so far. We haven't hit the 10 yet. So there's probably a price adjustment. Or we have 10 offers, but like nothing actually under contract. So now it allows for some framework of actually saying, you don't have to go say, oh, I, John, think that the market is changing. Now let's blame the market being bad. Before it was like, I, John, am amazing. That's why you should list with me. Now we say the market's bad. Let's reduce the price. That's what clients don't like, right? Instead, if we say this is a framework we use on how we do pricing, it's significantly better. And John, I'll give you one tip that makes clients significantly feel better. Clients, when we talk to them about adjusting pricing, they think that, oh my gosh, John's just hammering me on price, and they want me to reduce pricing because he wants to get paid.
John doesn't want to work hard enough. He just wants the commission. Yeah, he wants it easy.
What I love to tell agents is have them tell clients, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, because of this reason, I think because of 10 showings or 10 offers, I think we need to do some price adjustments. What do you think? And then let them talk. Right now, they have to talk themselves into it. And we say, and here's before, and I always tell clients this, hey, before you make any adjustments to price, I tell them this, before you make any adjustments to pricing, please know that no matter what adjustment we make, I have to change the positioning and the marketing overall. So the client's like, oh, wait a minute. It's not just that John's going to change the pricing and then it's going to work. He's going to have to now take the new pricing provided and actually go do a bunch of work. And if you don't tell the client that, they don't feel like you are a partner in this adjustment of pricing. So I always say, before you make any decisions on adjustment of pricing, please know this, no matter what decision we make, I have to take the decision and reposition this home and relaunch it in the new pricing. Now they're like, oh, wow, whatever decision we make, John has got to go do more work. And now it feels like a partnership. If you just showed that, they feel like you're in it with them. And that small thing shows like joint effort in this overall.
I love it. This is so good, guys. Guys, if you like this, give us thumbs up. And by the way, if you got some questions for Sharran, just shoot it out, and we'll get them answered. So Sharran, where do you think the real estate is going? Do you think we'll be necessary as real estate agents, or is it going to be all AI and technology?
Hey, here's the interesting part. Someone pitched in. I get a lot of ideas pitched to me for apps and technology and all of that, and I actually love it, John. I take almost every app or technology meeting, or at least I look at the deck because I want to see like how people are innovating. And you can buy a home in four clicks. So let me tell you what happened the other day. So I said, if I can buy a home in 4 clicks, let me see if I can go buy if I can go buy a book in 4 clicks. Well, to buy a book on Amazon takes 7 clicks, right? You got to click a button, search for the book, get the book, click the book, add to cart, go to cart, click accept, click Prime, click deliver. Like even buying a book, which is a commodity, which is the experience layer that people have layered on top, takes 4 to 7 clicks. And so we say things like, "Oh, we can buy a home in 4 clicks." That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. The power though, John, is I think that people forget what Amazon did was not revolutionary from a technology perspective. Like if you and I log into the Amazon website, I'm sorry, you can agree that it's a clunky site. It's not gorgeous. It's not,
Yeah.
it is very like functional, right? But what they did was they took products, they took fulfillment, they took shipping, they took UPS, they took a little e-commerce ordering, they took payments, they took returns, they took all of that and they put it under one umbrella and they put the Amazon experience on top of it, right? I believe that how the real estate world is structured, we have all of those pieces. We have title services, mortgage services, NHD, appraisal services, moving, all of that as pieces of the puzzle. But the real estate agent's job is to be the experience layer, is to bring all of those features together. Until we can find a way to integrate all the other disjointed services together, the real estate agent is the only person that can bring process clarity and complexity to the client. There is no other way. If a client could do the job on their own, they would, but they can't because they can't bring all the services to bear, right? So I think that the future of real estate is going to be a lot more vertically integration of technology. Like we call this, I'll give you the real idea. We call this One Rail, which is it's a product concept where a client can, or this is the idea at least, right? Consumer was, a client can see a home, click a button, be pre-approved in 3 minutes, then start looking at the home with their real agent, say they want to buy it, pick their closing date, title's automatically ordered, financing's automatically ordered, and everything happens in the app, but with the agent in the center of the transaction. Because having an advisor in something so complex, I don't think is going away. Now,
I don't think people really want that as well, right? Because it's an experience of buying a house. So you don't wanna wing it. I mean, you want to make sure you're buying the right house, but also it's a once in a lifetime experience, right?
But John, 100%. And the crazy part is this, right? I know how, like, I've been a part of thousands of transactions. Like when I buy a property now, I still work with an agent because I ask now, do I ask fewer questions? Maybe, but I'm like, hey, in this state, when is earnest money due? In California, earnest money is due differently. Like you can blow a contract on the simplest of things on 1 day of an extension period. You can blow all of it because people forget that real estate is a game of contracts, right? So you have both the complexity layer of the several people involved in the puzzle, but you also have the complexity layer of it being a legal binding contract. And when you have those two pieces together and you have the stress around, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all of this? Having an experienced hand taking you through the process is super, super important. I'll tell you how I see this, John. I see this as I see a real estate agent as a combination of like nurses and doctors all rolled in together. And from time to time, you may bring in an expert because you don't know brain surgery, but if they can't talk to you, they can't move forward. Like all the care, like we talk about real estate being mechanical and psychological, right? We have to help our clients think through a lot of these things. It is the largest purchase of their home. They're writing a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 down payment check that they've been saving for 15 years. You think that they're just going to do that on an app? I don't think so. Right?
But do you think that's going to reduce the amount of agents necessary for those transactions?
Maybe, maybe not. But I think that more and more services are going to be like, we've only added now. now we've added moving services, we've added address changing services, we've added all of this. So the interesting part though, right, over the last 25, 30 years, we've seen some fluctuations up and down in the number of real estate agents, kind of licensed agents in the United States. That number has stayed around the 1.5 million mark for a very long time. It's not changed dramatically, but we do know that there's only a small portion of them are highly producing, which are like driven and team producing. But I don't think it's going to change. But that's still going to force a skill-based agent to level up their skills. So if you're an agent, and John, let's talk about skills for a second. What are the skills that you need, right? Three big skills. Number one, how do you actually attract and put people in the funnel? You got to get more conversations, because the real estate's a game of conversations and contracts. So how do you get more conversations? Having conversations, people actually wing it with charisma. Just because they're like, oh, I'm a people person, it's correct. But even having a conversation is a skill, which is really, really, really powerful. So the question becomes, what kind of conversations can you have that allows for curiosity to put them in your funnel overall? And I got to give you a couple ideas around. The second is, that's filling the funnel. The second skill is, how do you actually get them to be in your funnel, but actually think about you, set an appointment or do something real estate oriented, right? So that is actually converting them in some way. And the third is delivering an insane experience. So the delivery skill of it. What most of us have been coached on is, let's just do a bunch of marketing and get leads in, and then they have a crappy experience after. So if we can just put people in the funnel or in our database in a thoughtful way, I think it's really powerful. So I'll tell you how I generally do it. I think about the curiosity thing a lot. And I always ask, hey, if you could, would you, right? Hey, if you could buy a home in Palm Springs, would you? Oh, no, I'm not really interested in Palm Springs. That's what they'll say. Oh, how about this, John? If you could buy a home in Palm Springs that would pay you to own it, would you? And they'll be like, what do you mean pay you to own it? Now I'm in a really tactical conversation. That meaning, if I bought this home in Palm Springs, it would actually pay you money every single month. Would you then consider owning it? Well, it depends on whether I have to manage it or not. Hey, if you could buy a home in Palm Springs that would pay you to own it, and someone else managed it, and nobody called you at 3 a.m. because of a leaky toilet, would that be interesting to you? Oh, now you're getting good, Sharran. That's more interesting to me. Hey, would you like me to show you some options of homes in multiple places in the country that would actually pay you to own it? Yeah, I'd be really curious looking at that. Now I've created so much curiosity that this person wants to have the conversation, as opposed to you're letting them choose whether they want to get a home in Palm Springs. So like when I like to have these attraction conversations, if you could, would you, is really, really helpful, because if you could, and they'll say no, and then I keep digging, right? If you could, would you? If you could, would you? If you could. Hey, if you could move to a bigger home, I normally don't even ask. If you could move to a bigger home, where would you buy it? No, we really like the size of our home. No, if you could move to a bigger home and it costs the same, where would you go? No, we really like the same. If you could move to a bigger home in a better location, where would you move? Like, I'm constantly asking to figure out what their not pain point or idea is. If you could, would you? If you could, would you? If you could, would you? Because now what it does is it makes everything about them, and I'm just in data gathering mode, right?
I love it, man. So, Phil Jones was in Vegas for the Tom Ferry retreat, and that's exactly what he talked about. One thing I asked him, though, I said, Phil, you're so good with the scripting. Like, how often do you practice? He said, this is my job, like all day, every day.
Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you a funny story, and everyone will resonate with this. So every morning I have a ritual in my house where I take care of my kids in the morning. My wife and we put them in the car. My wife takes them to school, and I drive to work. We leave the house at the same time every morning, right? So my kids think it's pretty funny, because they're like, oh, we get to drive right by dad for a little bit, and then we go in different directions. And one day I forgot that my wife was like right beside me, so my kids can see what I'm doing in the car, right? And while I'm in the car, like, my wife's sitting right, like she's right beside me, and I'm talking in the car, not to anybody, to myself, right? And then my phone starts ringing, and my wife's like, look at me. And so I look at her, and she goes, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, I was just practicing my scripting. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, this is like, there's a great quote, the limits of your language are the limits of your world, right? The limits of your language are the limits of your world. If I can't find a way to say what I want to say in the most succinct way, I suck. Like, that's my fault. Yeah. And the greatest part is, just because a skill is something that's practiced. Why did Kobe Bryant show up at 4 a.m. and shoot 400 free throws? Why? because you got to get it into your nervous system, right? There, like if you ask me, I'm probably 15, 16, 18, 20 objections deep in multiple ways. Like I don't answer the same thing the same time, because if you ask me a pricing objection in a listing appointment in the first 5 minutes, I would answer it differently than if you ask me in the last 5 minutes, because I have no context, right? So small things like that are really good. So I always go back to this from a skill perspective, which says the limits of your language are the limits of your world. But dude, Phil's also an alien, right? He feels like Elon. Like you don't have that level of
Commitment.
Yeah, it's so good. But the interesting part is he's like you in a lot of ways. He has a consequence-based script. And what I mean by that is he can't write or position something that can't be used in real life. Like what he says may sound cool or not, but it's really practical. And I think good scripting is very practical. But most people think from a scripting perspective that you have to have an answer to everything. You don't. What you have to have an answer to is you just need clarifying questions. The best scripts are based on clarifying questions. So like a lot of times people ask me in an appointment, well, our neighbor listed, Jimmy said he'd do it for 2%.
Tell me more about it.
Yeah, right. So one of the, I'm like, so you don't have enough information to have an objection handler for that. You don't know if Jimmy's their aunt or uncle. You don't know if Jimmy's their uncle. You don't know if Jimmy's their friend. You don't know if Jimmy just said, I'll put it on the MLS and you can do it yourself.
Maybe Jimmy owes him money. I think maybe Jimmy owes him some money.
Yeah. Right. So the question you want to ask is, well, Jimmy said he'd do it for 2%. And just stop. Right? Because you're surprised, and now let them rationalize why Jimmy is going to do it for 2%, because now you have enough information to actually provide an argument around it. If you just memorize a script that says Jimmy's going to do it for 2%, and you turn around and say, well, I can appreciate that, how we work is no. If you did that, you have no idea why they actually said that in the first place. So a lot of times, like when I'm talking about scripting and in a live situation, John, is I'm doing more clarifying. And when you clarify, like as we're doing right now, you notice that I slowed my cadence down, right? It softens it up. So you say, well, Jimmy said he'd do it for 2%. Jimmy said he'd do it for 2%. Like I slowed down. So I'm slowing the whole thing down. So I'm allowing them to think and respond as well. And I've slowed the whole cadence of the meeting down, and then I can speed it back up. Small things like that are really important. Clarifying questions get done really well when you slow it down, because it doesn't make them feel like they're dumb. You just want them to be able to explain overall, right? So most people, instead of going into objection handlers, go into clarification so that you can actually explain the stuff better.
Yeah. And I love it. It goes back to being curious, right? And wanting to understand the client or the situation a little better so you can really discover the cause. Just curious, put it in the comments below. How often do you guys practice your scripts? I want to know. How often you practice your scripts?
Hey,
there's a good question from Ian.
Yeah. My man Ian of Austin. Dude, by the way, I'll answer this in two ways, right? For those of you who don't know, Ian is just an amazing agent in Austin, Texas. He's built his entire brand around Ian of Austin. Like he's created this brand construct in people's heads about Ian of Austin. I've seen people in Facebook threads, etc., like when they say, who's your Austin realtor? Like Ian of Austin. Like he's done an insane job with that. And I'll tell you skill number one, John. Fame is the most efficient business model. Fame is the most efficient business model. What Ian has done in this case is created a brand and fame around one simple construct. Like think about this for a second. If Oprah woke up in the morning and did a tweet about John Tayeb tomorrow, would John get a lot of inbounds? Yes, that's a really good thing, right? So number one skill that agents can build is being very intentional about their brands, because fame is the most efficient business model. If you can just get that done right, like all the agents that we know on, so let's take a Ryan Serhant, for example. Do you have any idea how many referrals Ryan Serhant gets outside of New York City? And I'm going to tell you, it is insane, right? Ryan has done such an amazing job just building Serhant brand that people who are not even in real estate like know about Ryan. Now, yes, he has like a flamethrower from his building and all the random things that he's doing right now, but he's created this insane brand and he's created fame. And because of that, he gets a ton of inbound. The greatest part about this is he doesn't have to pay. When you have fame, two things happen. Whatever you do to build fame, you get fame. And the byproduct of that is more business. So you keep building fame. And if nothing happens, you're more famous. And the byproduct of that is great business. So I will tell you, you don't have to do what Orion Sirhan did. But what Ian did is a really powerful thing because you create a micro market brand. It's real. Like take our friend Glenda Baker, right? If you take, like, I've known Glenda 10 plus years. Many of you may know Glenda. She'll say this. Every 10th video she'll drop, she'll say, hey, my name is Glenda Baker. I'm a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. She'll say it over and over and over and over and over again. Why? It's super smart because she's positioning the fame of that marketplace in people's minds. While it seems really simple and humble, Glenda is not dumb, right? She's very tactically positioning that. So, and that is a skill, by the way. So number one skill to build is brand and fame. Fame is the most efficient business model. Here's number two. The second skill is what I like to call lifetime nurture. We are in such a
transactional
lead junkie mindset. I just want more leads. I just want more leads. I just want more leads. But instead, if you had a database of 1,000 people right now and you actually just nurtured that, you would win so much bigger than adding 10,000 more people into your database. So how does lifetime nurture work? And John, I think about this a lot, which is your best clients come from your best clients. And if Sharran was a good client for you, you want more people like me. You they're going to come from me because I have friends just like me. And that's why lifetime nurture may be, three emails to your database a week without sending them e-alerts or just listed, just sold. Like, what does that look like? If you're actually sending them texts, what does that look like? If you're actually putting something in the mail for them, what does it look like? I'll give you a simple idea. My friend Shane Todd in Vancouver, Washington, he does this lifetime nurture so well. He has a 4-card holiday campaign. By the way, it's maybe a little late to do this, but think about this for next year. He does a Halloween card, a Thanksgiving card, a Christmas holidays card, and a New Year card, right? And he does it in the 4 months of the year. Literally all he does, John, is he has a print house or a shipping house, has a standard card. He has a standard message. They handwrite stuff, and they mail it to his 250 people in his sphere, right? But they get 4 cards, October, November, December, January. And John, the 15th of January to the 30th of January, he calls each of them and he does the CMA call. It's like, hey, John, this is Shane, calling. I hope you're doing well. Oh, Shane, I'm so glad you called. I got all your cards, right? That is insane nurture. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you do that. In fact, the reason I'm calling is because several clients have asked for an updated home equity analysis. I'm doing that for several of our private clients in January and February. Would you like me to do that for you as well? Oh, that would be great. Hey, by the way, have you ever done it? Are you thinking about doing any upgrades, etc.? Now, the last value report they've gotten is from you. It warms up the CMA call for Q1. But if you don't warm up the CMA call, it becomes a cold kind of CMA call. So the reason why Shane does those 4 cards is he warms up the call in the beginning of the year. And now it's easier for the rest of the year to do whatever. That lifetime nurture, a component like that, is a straight up skill. And the best part of it, John, it's not hard to implement. It is, find a print house, send them the card, they'll handwrite it for you. They'll mail it out. I think he spends like $800 to $900 per mailing. So call it $2,500 total for his database. But that provides enough lifetime nurture for the entire year, which is pretty powerful, right? So that's skill number 2, which is lifetime nurture. I'll give you the third skill that, since Ian asked for 3. The third skill is when someone walks us into an appointment, how we start the appointment and how we end the appointment is super important. John, you and I really geek out about this listing presentation stuff, right?
Yeah.
Someone has invited us into their home or apartment, and we have a chance to show them that we are amazing. But the sad part is, no one is in there with us. Like when we're role playing or cold calling, your coach, John Tayeb, your coach can look at you and provide you some feedback. You can get the voice recording and get some feedback. But when I'm in a listing appointment, no one sees what I do. So the sooner you can get an assistant or someone to go with you and give you some feedback on how you came across in the beginning and the end of the appointment, and you just upgraded those 2 skills, you would close significantly more meetings.
Maybe get the Google glasses and have it recorded,
But for appointments, the way you work on your skill is how you open and how you close, because it's called for those that don't know about this, it's called primacy and recency. Primacy is what happened first. Recency is what happened last. People remember primacy and recency. People remember what happened first in the appointment and what happened last in the appointment. So if those two are very well choreographed, then it's a really, really good thing because you win that way.
I love it. I just want to, I'm curious, Sharran, where do you see Real being in 5, 10, 20 years as
Man,
a company?
that's hard. I'll tell you a
What
thought.
is your vision?
Yeah, I tell you what Tamir and I talk about a lot is that bigger is not better. Better is better, right? Bigger is not better. Better is better. And I think that knowing bigger is not better and better, meaning just saying we want more agents, we want more agents, that's fine. That's a good thing. I love getting more people, but two things have to really connect, which is culture, as in people want to feel collaborative to be here, and performance. People want to feel like they're making money and making a difference being here. If those two don't connect, we don't have a company. That's why I always say bigger is not better, better is better. Before I'll answer the vision in two parts. I'll give you the framework for the vision and where I see it going. The framework for the vision is this. Three things have to be true. Number one, the agent has to be it has to be lucrative and enjoyable for the agent today. So the agent has to make money, but still have a great platform to serve their clients. That's number one. If that doesn't happen, we suck. Number two, it has to be easy and effortless for the attraction component. New agents need to be able to join easily and start producing easily and feel the benefit as well. And number three, we have to build a business that is sustainable for generations. And I say generations very intentionally because of this one reason, because the folks that are coming in and building a network and generating revenue share, et cetera, we have committed to making that willable for generations to come. So if John is making $50,000 a month, I'm making it up. John is making $50,000 a month in revenue share, and something unfortunate were to happen to John, that $50,000 needs to go to John's family forever in perpetuity. So now we are given the responsibility of building something that is generationally sound. And I think most businesses don't have to think that way, right? They're like, oh, as long as it's good in our lifetime, we're good. But we have to build something with a really long-term view. So thinking about the business 20, 30 years from now, John, most people don't need that luxury. I think for us, it's a responsibility. Like if we make a change today that I think is going to affect the business 25 years from now, I have to call it out today because I'm like, oh man, this is going to break this revenue share program or the stock program in years to come. And I would have faltered on my responsibility to John and his family. And so that's what kind of is hard on me a lot. So couple of big vision items. Number one, dominating North America. We are at 45 states right now. It's my personal goal to get to all 50 this year and round out our Canadian brethren, right? So we're already in most of the provinces. We want to get to the rest as well. So North American domination is a big thing. There's a good chance that we're going to get invited to be in other countries, but how you pick that tactically over the years to come is an important thing. I see us like my vision, John, what I would really like to see. I want to see us as at least as a minimum of 100,000 agents. I'd like to get to 150. I want to be at least 10% of the licensed agent population in the United States. Because when you get to about 150,000 agents, that you actually start to move the needle from a brand perspective and a connection perspective, and more because I like that 10% number of all the licensed agents overall. We're not trying to go after everybody, but we just want to make sure that everyone looking at Real as a business realizes that I say the same thing. Help us build a great company today so that our company can take care of your family tomorrow. That is our mission. That is our focus. So we still have to build a great company today, but that company has to take care of our family tomorrow. And a big part of that, this is my last point, is that we can't have a static or non-changing business model to survive decades. So sometimes we make changes. We introduce something called co-sponsor revenue share. Like, you know that we consulted you with that. The idea there is if you don't make changes as you grow and adapt, it's very hard to use a 1960s business model to think generationally. So we just have to be open to new updates to the model and the platform. And that all comes from our agents. And so the more our agents are involved and our partners with us, the farther and more sustainable a company we can build.
I love it. This is so good, Sharran. Now, let me ask you this. Building so many different companies and really scaling them up, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned over the years?
Man, I actually have. The funny part is I actually have an answer for it, and I'll tell you why. I didn't have an answer for it before. When we sold our last company, my coach told me. She said, for the next 30 days, I want you to go. Like I live in Laguna Beach, a little beach town in California. She said, go to the beach every day. And she said, for 30 minutes, I want you to sit down and write a lesson. And I said, what lesson? She goes, write any lesson that you've learned. And she said, if you don't memorialize your lessons, you never will learn them. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, you learned a lesson. Don't you think it at least needs to be written down in some way so you can memorialize it and transfer it? Otherwise, it's not a lesson. It's just a thought. And I go, that was super powerful. So I wrote down this thing called, 37 lessons I learned building a, $3 billion business at TELUS. And here are 3 things that I learned that are common to all companies. And every single entrepreneur or real estate agent listening to this can resonate with this. Number 1, singularity of focus. To do great things, we have to do fewer things. People just assume that you can do a lot. To do great things, you have to do fewer things. And so if the focus is, I want to get North America domination, I want to get all 50 states and Canada. That's all I care about, right? Like I just want to make sure that we get Australia, New Zealand, Philippines, UK all the time, but like that is not the focus. It is singularity of focus. The singularity of focus is so important. So if you're a real estate agent and you want to grow your brand, like build a brand like Ian, that's your singularity of focus for 2023. If you want to build a geographic farm, that is your singularity of focus for 2023. Whatever it is, having singularity of focus is so important because it makes you choose between what's important and what's not important right now. Everything's important. The question is whether it's important or not important right now, right? So the number 1, singularity of focus. Number 2 is the cadence of accountability. I'm sorry, like coaching is the number 1 performance accelerator. If John was your coach, you would probably do significantly better than if John was not your coach. Hands down, end of story. Like straight up. Because I think what people don't realize is they think that, oh, just because I have a coach, like I'll be fine. But what I do is I outsource my success to my coaches. I just tell them, I have 5 coaches in different areas of my life. And I just tell them, hey, my goal for this is this. You have to show me how to get there. I'll do the work. Just show me how to get there. Just point me in the direction. I always say, you coach, I do. So, but having the cadence of accountability, saying, hey, I'm going to meet with this person. I'm going to look at my numbers. I'm going to meet with this person. I'm going to look at my stats. Without the cadence of accountability, I don't think any of us succeed at all, because otherwise, whatever the top idea on your mind is, that's what matters, right? So number 1, singularity of focus. Number 2, cadence of accountability. And number 3, good process drives good results, right? What we're trying to build is a system of success. We're not trying to build success. We're trying to build a system of success. The more we have a system of success, the more repeatable it is, the more it can live on without us. A lot of times when people just get, how many agents have you seen who hit their first million and the next year they do 300,000? All the time, right? Because they worked really hard. They took your advice. They're like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to hit that million mark. And then they're like, I'm so tired. I don't have the systems to actually sustain this. We're not just looking for success. We're looking for a system of success. That's why good process drives good results. So any business that I see those 3 things. Is there singularity of focus? Is there the cadence of accountability needed to actually get the results? And do we have a system of success in place? A good process drives good results. Those 3 things are very overarching and are very telltale signs for whether a business is actually going to scale or not.
I love it. So good. Now, Sharran, I think it always boils down to the schedule, right? Like, do you time block? Do you have a schedule? And what is your schedule like?
Yeah, I'll tell you. It's harder with real, but generally speaking, there are 3 big blocks in my schedule. Time for me, because you got to fill your cup first before you can give it to others. Time for others, that my commitments and my responsibilities, and time for my family. So I always look at my schedule that way, but I start my day with time for me, because if I don't have time for me, I'm reactive to everything else. I wake up at 4:45 every single day. I only have one alarm on my phone. I wake up 4:45 every single day. No matter what time I go to bed, I wake up 4:45 every single day. It's just easier. It's not good, bad. I'm not even a morning person, but I wake up, and the hardest part is waking up and getting out of bed. But I plan what I'm going to do when I wake up. Most people don't wake up because they wake up and they're like, I just sleep in today. I'll wake up tomorrow. I just plan what I'm going to do. So I'm writing a book right now, and I'm writing it 15 minutes a day. My goal is to write it 15 minutes a day all year. Hopefully my book would be done. So I'm a month and a half into it. There's a good chance it'll be done by the end of the year, but I'm only writing 15 minutes a day every morning. That's time for me. Time for others is essentially I block time between like business hours. I work business hours every single day. We all work all the time, but I'm available for meetings, et cetera, during business hours. And every hour that my children are not in school, I made a deal with my family that I spend with them. So before they go to school in the morning, after they come back, like dinner and onwards, is family time. So anytime my children are not in school, I spend time with them. So my schedule is really simple: me time, work time, family time, and I just rinse and repeat around that.
I love it. Now, when it comes to your business, what is the number one priority which needs to get done every day?
Man, that's hard. Our priorities change. I'll tell you how I think about it. Everything has to be a lot. Like I have a very specific goal from a real perspective, right? Like we're saying, hey, whether it's revenue or agent count or whatever, like I'm looking at that, and I like to filter my days based on that. If I don't have something that allows me to accomplish that goal in that day, I have underperformed. So every single day, there should be something that I'm doing in service of that goal. Otherwise, I'm not committed to that goal. So I would ask if an agent's goal is to double the size of their database, my question would be, did you not make a post today on Instagram to actually get more email addresses? Why not? Because every single day we should do something in service of that goal. So while the goals vary for people to people, my number one priority is always, can I do something today in the service of that goal? And if I'm doing that, I feel like I'm in a good spot.
It's so good. Now, Sharran, what is your favorite book to read?
Dude, I don't make a lot of book recommendations because people are very different. But I will tell you that if you're in the real estate business, the one book you must read is this. You probably never heard of it. It is called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. It is a tiny paperback. You probably will finish it in an hour, hour and a half. And if you don't read any of it, just read the first two chapters. The first two chapters are the most important. It's probably $10. The first two chapters are the most important. I will tell you, I probably read 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. Whenever I'm stuck, I will flip through that book. It's written really well in basic English. What it does is it tells you, it's actually not even marketing. It's all positioning. And I'll give you the first two chapters. Chapter number 1 is be a category king, right? It basically says, if you're a category king and if you own that category, like Ian has done, I am Ian of Austin. Like he's a category king in that chapter, right?
So like a specialist versus generalist?
Exactly. Like
Okay.
He's in that chapter. And the lesson number 2, chapter number 2 is, if you can't become a category king, start a new category. Literally those two things, right? Because when you do that, it's easier for us to win in a category that we have created or that category that exists, because it goes to the only statement. I'm the only agent in New York City that has sold more walk-ups in the Upper East Side than anyone else. That's a really powerful thing, right? There's an only statement associated with that. So 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, super easy read. If you can't read that first two chapters, I think you'll really appreciate it.
I love it. So good. Now, Sharran, over the years, what is the biggest regret you have? Maybe something you didn't take advantage of or just miss on it.
This is going to sound, and the crazy part is, it's going to sound like a commercial, and it's interesting you believe this, because I thought of coaching as an expense and not an investment. I always would say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. Oh, that's $2,000 a month. I'll give you a recent example. Craziest numbers, and this is me being very transparent. I was going through the sale of a business, and I didn't know how to structure it well. And a person told me that there was a good coach. So I asked this coach, I'm like, hey, I don't want a year's worth of coaching. can you just spend a day with me? And he says, it's $35,000 for the day. I'm like, great. I didn't have the 35 grand. I wrote the $35,000 check. He gave me more insight in that day than I could have ever imagined. But since that day, the number of introductions he's made for me has been off the world insane. Recently, this is the truth, and it's happened in the last 5 days. I met a guy who is just brilliant in marketing, just brilliant, like blew my mind, brilliant in marketing. Had a 3-hour breakfast with him. At the end, I was like, hey, so if I don't work with your agency, how else do I get access to you? He's like, Sharran, you can just email me whenever you want. I was like, no, I don't want that because that's karmically not in balance. So I wrote him and I made him a proposal. I said, hey, can I hire you as a retainer to be my advisor? I don't need calls. I don't need meetings. I don't need anything. Just from time to time, I may email you and text you. Just prioritize your communication with me. So now I've hired my 6th coach advisor. And he's like, this sounds too good to be true. I was like, no, I want to pay you so that you now are responsible for my success. And it is insane to me that I waited so long to get coaching and get consulting and get expertise poured into me, because if I'd done that all 10 years sooner, I'd be significantly ahead in the things that I was working on. So if you have an opportunity to hire somebody to just accelerate your performance, I highly, highly recommend that you consider it.
Yeah. And would you say, is it the same like investing into yourself?
Yeah, totally. It's exactly that, right? It's exactly that.
Now, what is your superpower?
I believe that I can outwork anybody, but at the end of the day, I think that the reason I was attracted to Real was my superpower overall is I believe that working hard is not enough. You got to work hard and be kind. And I realized that you don't have to be friends with everybody in the world. You just need your tribe. And as I've grown older, John, I've realized that my superpower is being very true to who I am and not trying to be who I'm not. I am grateful for all the success and failures, but the work hard, be kind culture is deeply connected with me, and it is who I am. And I'm okay if other people are not part of it because it's who I am. I've realized that me staying true to me allows me to show up in service of you. And the more I can do that, the faster I win.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you. You are a super nice guy, Sharran. I always appreciate you. Now, there's also difficult sometimes to be yourself in today's day and age, right? You want to be like everybody else and you kind of chasing the shiny penny. Like, how do you disconnect from that and just be yourself and use your superpower?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, and this is a good question to end on overall, because I don't think people disconnect enough, and I think time with yourself is really important. I'll give you this one phrase as I leave you. I say that fear has no place on paper. Fear has no place on paper. We all have a lot of thoughts, a lot of fears, a lot of ideas, a lot of anxiety in our head, and we don't have a lot of people to share them with, only because they're not fully baked ideas and they're just fears and frustrations. And so, John, every single morning I spend 5 to 7 minutes. It doesn't take more than like 7 minutes. I write down every single thought in my head. I just write until I can stop thinking. And that is a clearing moment for me. That is what gives me. And once I see it on paper, I'm like, oh, I'm not worried about that. My elbow hurts. I don't care about that. And so that's one single practice I do every single day. And that has helped me clear out all the junk in my head to kind of show up and be in service of you. And so if we just need to figure out like what we need to do to find our space that makes us show up in our truest and best self. And for me, it's just dumping out all my thoughts so I can clear it out and I can show up in service of whoever I'm with.
This is so good. I mean, Sharran, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. I want to be respectful of your time. So with that said,
hey man, I appreciate you. Hey, I'll say this one thing before I go. You didn't have to do the show. You didn't have to invite people. You don't have to do all of this. You didn't have to take your time. And for you, your team, who I've communicated with over the last few days, and the listeners on the call right now, thank you for doing this. Most importantly, big kudos to you for taking the time to create this platform to share this message. You don't have to do this, and you're doing this, which is what makes this so special. I love you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man.
Peace out.